Atlanta, Georgia, a bustling metropolis, but beneath the surface a darkness lurked. From 1979 to 1981, a predator stalked the city. Children, mostly young black boys, vanished. Fear gripped the community. Parents held their children closer. Whispers of a boogeyman filled the air. The city was on edge. No one was safe. The victims, often from low-income families, seemed to disappear into thin air. Their bodies would later be found in rivers and wooded areas around the city. The cause of death was often asphyxiation. The killer was meticulous, leaving few clues behind. The police were baffled. The pressure mounted. They had to catch the monster in their midst. Wayne Williams was born in Atlanta in 1958. An only child, he developed a fascination with radio broadcasting and music. He was a bright student, known for his intelligence and ambition, but there were glimpses of a darker side. He had a history of making prank calls, often impersonating authority figures. As Williams grew older, his interest in radio intensified. He even started his own station from his parents' basement. He craved attention, recognition. He yearned to be in the spotlight, but his dreams of radio stardom would soon be overshadowed by a much darker reality. The investigation into the Atlanta child murders was sprawling and intense. It gripped the city of Atlanta, casting a shadow over its streets and neighborhoods. The police followed countless leads, each one a potential breakthrough, but often leading to dead ends. The complexity of the case was overwhelming. They interviewed hundreds of suspects, tirelessly working day and night. Yet the killer remained elusive, slipping through their fingers time and again. Then, on May 22, 1981, a breakthrough came. It was a moment of hope amidst the despair. Police, conducting surveillance near the Chattahoochee River, heard a splash. The sound echoed in the still night, signaling a potential lead. They spotted Wayne Williams on the bridge, a figure shrouded in mystery and suspicion. He was questioned but released due to lack of evidence. The frustration among the officers was palpable. However, the police were convinced they were on the right track. They felt a renewed sense of determination. They placed Williams under 24-hour surveillance, watching his every move, hoping to catch him slipping up. The net was closing in. The tension was mounting as the police tightened their investigation. On June 21, 1981, just weeks after the bridge incident, Wayne Williams was arrested. The city was abuzz with the news. He was charged with the murders of Nathaniel Cater and Jimmy Ray Payne, two young men whose bodies had been found in the Chattahoochee River. The charges brought a mix of relief and anxiety. The discovery of their bodies in the river had been a grim reminder of the ongoing horror. The city held its breath. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation and fear. Had they finally caught the monster? The question lingered in the air as the city waited for justice to be served. The victims of the Atlanta child murders were united by tragedy. They were sons, brothers, friends, each life cut short, a potential unfulfilled. The youngest victim, LaTonya Wilson, was just 7 years old. The oldest, Eddie Duncan, was 28. They were all taken too soon. The disappearances followed a chilling pattern. Most victims were last seen in familiar surroundings, often on their way home from school or running errands. The killer seemed to target vulnerable children, luring them away with promises of money or favors. The community was left reeling, wondering who could commit such heinous acts. Section 5. The Hunter's Web. The investigation into the Atlanta child murders was a massive undertaking. It spanned several years and involved numerous agencies working tirelessly to uncover the truth behind the tragic deaths of so many young lives. The complexity of the case required a coordinated effort that was unprecedented at the time. Law enforcement agencies from across the state were involved. This included local police departments, state troopers, and specialized units that brought their unique skills to the table. The collaboration was essential in piecing together the puzzle that was the Atlanta child murders. The FBI joined the investigation, bringing their resources and expertise to bear. Their involvement added a new level of sophistication to the case, with advanced forensic techniques and a broader network of intelligence. The FBI's role was crucial in analyzing evidence that local agencies might not have had the capacity to handle. The pressure to find the killer was immense. The community was gripped by fear and anxiety, with parents afraid to let their children out of their sight. Public meetings were held, and the demand for answers grew louder with each passing day. The sense of urgency was palpable. The city was demanding answers. Protests and rallies became common as residents sought justice for the victims. The collective grief and anger of the community fueled the investigation, pushing law enforcement to work around the clock to find the perpetrator. The investigation focused on fiber evidence found on the victims' bodies. This evidence was meticulously collected and analyzed, with forensic teams working tirelessly to trace its origins. The fibers became a critical piece of the puzzle, offering a tangible link to the killer. These fibers, matched to Williams's home and car, would prove crucial in building the case against him. The discovery of these fibers was a breakthrough, providing a direct connection between the suspect and the crime scenes. It was a pivotal moment in the investigation. The fibers were meticulously analyzed. Forensic experts spent countless hours examining each fiber using advanced techniques to ensure the accuracy of their findings. This painstaking work was essential in establishing the credibility of the evidence. The most damning piece of evidence was a rare yellow-green nylon fiber known as Luxair English olive. This particular fiber was not commonly found, making its presence on the victims and in Williams's home highly significant. This type of carpet fiber was found in Williams's home and matched fibers found on several victims. The match was undeniable, providing a strong link that the prosecution would rely on heavily in court. The prosecution argued that this was more than just a coincidence. They presented the fiber evidence as a key component of their case, demonstrating how it tied Williams to the murders in a way that could not be easily dismissed. It was a direct link between Williams and the murders. The fiber evidence, combined with other investigative findings, painted a compelling picture of guilt that the jury could not ignore. Section 6. Fibers of Guilt. This chapter delves into the intricate details of the trial that captivated the nation. The trial of Wayne Williams began in 1982, marking a pivotal moment in the history of criminal justice in America. It was a media sensation, with the eyes of the nation fixed on the courtroom. Reporters from all over the country gathered, eager to cover every twist and turn of the proceedings. The prosecution presented a compelling case, relying heavily on the fiber evidence. They meticulously detailed how these fibers were linked to the victims. They argued that the fibers found on the victims were so unique, so rare, that they could only have come from Williams's home and car. This evidence was presented as a crucial link tying Williams to the crimes. The defense countered that the fiber evidence was circumstantial. They emphasized that fibers can be easily transferred from one place to another. They argued that Williams, as a freelance photographer, frequented many of the areas where the victims were found. His profession required him to be in various locations, making it plausible for fibers to be transferred innocently. They suggested that the fibers could have been transferred innocently, perhaps through casual contact or environmental factors. However, the jury was unconvinced. The weight of the evidence, combined with the prosecution's narrative, swayed their decision. On February 27, 1982, Wayne Williams was found guilty of the murders of Nathaniel Cater and Jimmy Ray Payne. The verdict was a culmination of weeks of intense courtroom drama. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. The case remains a significant chapter in the annals of forensic science and criminal justice, highlighting the power and limitations of forensic evidence. Section 7. Whispers of Doubt. Despite the conviction, questions and doubts have lingered around the case for decades. Some believe that Williams was wrongly convicted, that the fiber evidence was not strong enough to convict. Others believe that while Williams may have committed some of the murders, he did not act alone. In 2019, Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms announced that the city would be reopening the investigation into the Atlanta child murders. New DNA testing techniques offered a glimmer of hope that some of the unanswered questions might finally be resolved. However, as of 2024, no new breakthroughs have been announced. Section 8. Scars on a City. The Atlanta child murders left an indelible mark on the city. The fear and trauma experienced by the families of the victims were immeasurable. The case exposed the racial and economic disparities that existed in Atlanta at the time. Many felt that the police were slow to react because the victims were predominantly black and from poor neighborhoods. In response to the murders, a grassroots organization called the Committee to Stop Children's Murders was formed. This group, comprised of concerned citizens, organized patrols and demanded action from the authorities. They played a crucial role in keeping the pressure on the police and ensuring that the victims were not forgotten. Section 9. Unanswered Questions. The grim tale of Wayne Williams and the Atlanta child murders remains a haunting chapter in American history. The case continues to generate debate and speculation. Was Wayne Williams a scapegoat? Were there other killers involved? Did the justice system fail these children and their families? While Williams remains behind bars, the families of the victims are left to grapple with the loss of their loved ones and the lack of definitive answers. The quest for truth and justice continues. The Atlanta child murders serve as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of innocence and the enduring power of unanswered questions.